like the Goliath of the Philippines in the Holy Book.
He was born stony. That time when he saw the cattle is raided, he can just go in them and they can start fighting him, but they cannot, the spear cannot go in the body because he is stone. So he can start fighting alone and kill them alone. Others who was not made like stone can keep out, but he can go with them, fight them until he kills them all.
The Kalenjin are believed to have been the kings of the jungle, with the livestock their symbol of wealth.
Asili ya watu yetu wa Kalenjin, asili yao walikuwa askari huko Misri ya Farao. Naona walikuwa askari ya Farao huko Misri. Sasa hawa ni watu walikuwa naishi msituni tangu Misri huko. Si watu walikuja anza pande. Kwa hivyo vita iko kwa damu yao. Hata Wajaluo tena vita iko kwa damu yao. Kwa sababu tulikuwa watu moja huko. Na tulikuwa wote sisi askari ya Farao.
After graduating, the ancients were compelled to start families. This meant heavy dowry repayment and was the cause of raids.
Hawakuwa kitahiri watoto wadogo. Walikuwa natahiri kama iko na miaka 20 mpaka 25, hata miaka 30. Walikuwa natahiri wengine.
Na baada ya hapo alikuwa aenda tafute ng'ombe.
Baada ya hapo kutoka chondoni aenda tafuta ng'ombe. Ndio akuja aoe. Sasa wewe ni murani. Sasa lazima utembee, ufanye uchunguzi, ujue kundi gani iko na ng'ombe, unaenda. Mpaka upate ng'ombe ndio ukuje oa bibi. Uweze kuoa bibi kama una ng'ombe, utaoa na nini?
The cause of the fight was that they wanted to take away or to deprive Luos of their wealth. Yeah. But this fight, even the people from my area here went up to Kano to support Kano people because those people were very much aggressive.
The Nandi's constant raids of Luos for cattle tore the curtains of peace that lasted for centuries, resulting in two tribes becoming sworn enemies.
When this thing was happening, the Nandi was coming to raid the animals from the Luos. And the Luos also, when they saw that all of their herds were going away, so they start fighting.
This is the time the giant Luanda Magere had to take the front line in defending his tribe that was largely threatened by the Nandi. He became extremely powerful, such that the Nandis developed cold feet whenever war broke out.
The Nandi was also afraid of the Luo community because the Luo community are the brave people. They can fight because our customary is saying we cannot fight other people, and even if they are overpower our people, we cannot run back. That is not our culture. We can stay until we see we are going to die all.
The Nandis were fed on a dose of defeat, not once, not twice, but severally. Increasingly, the Nandi warriors left the battleground wounded, with many dead whenever they crossed the borderline for cattle raid. Mzee Oro attests to how lethal Magere was. However, he distances the Luos from that trait.
The Luo culture, we don't like fighting people without any mistake.
No retreat, no surrender seems to have been a slogan the Nandis sworn by. Poisonous arrows and spears vented the warfield, but the Luos Goliath had unbreakable bones. Arrows, spears, and clubs simply deflected from his body, making him invisible during warfare.
Hello guys, hello everyone. Thank you for coming to my channel. So today basically we're gonna go deeper and we're gonna share some very detailed information, and basically we're gonna touch into some areas that are very sensitive, and I'll quote books based on what other people said, what other people knew about other people. So basically, we're going to be diving so much deeper. So as you have seen in that video, there's so much history hidden, especially in East Africa, and UNESCO, the Tutsi, the Hima, the Ankole, and the Luo, and also the Kikuyu. They are hiding a lot of information, hidden here in East Africa. And I think I'll be the first person to be going deeper and exposing some of these information. I don't know all this information, but I'm going to try my best, because the world that we are living in right now, we need to teach our children the truth. So some people are hiding a lot of information, and they're using it to their own advantage. So it's time we stir the water so that people can come out, rebuttal, explain things, so that all of us can know what exactly happened. Otherwise, we will continue to suffer because we don't know what happened, why certain people are being mistreated in Africa. We want to know, like, why is it that people who are not even allowed to be president? So we're going to be going deeper to explain some stories, especially in East Africa. In my previous video, I explained how there are tribes who invaded, conquered, enslaved, and subdued. Then eventually, when European came, they said, we're not going to allow the Bantus or the Negroid to rule these areas. So they selected certain people and made them the president that you see today, especially around the Great Lakes. So the Bantuid or the Negroid are not allowed to be president or to join military, or if they do, they make sure they are married to their daughters. If you're not married to their daughters, they have to make sure that somehow you belong to them or you're working for them. But if you're not working for them, you are not allowed. You either become house boy, house girl, watchman, guard, cook, whatever, but not the top crest. We're not allowed. So we want to find out why is this. So one thing you'll discover is that the ancient Egyptians are not European, but the East African. Then the second question you will ask yourself, why is it that you only found the Bantu people asking questions about ancient Egypt, when East Africans, especially Somali, Ethiopians, Tutsi, Hima, they're not saying anything. They're just watching what's the Bantu fight with the European. Ask yourself, like, why is it the Kalenjin, the Luo, they're not saying anything. They're not bothered. While Bantus are exchanging fist fight, they're asking who are ancient Egyptians. These people are just quiet. They're not saying anything. They're not saying anything. They're just silent. They don't even want to shit. They're not engaging in this fight. But you see people from Nigeria saying, we know ancient Egyptian or Africans. Yeah, but these people are so quiet. They don't want to say anything. Why do you think they're so quiet? They're not saying anything. So do your research. Yeah, you'll discover even the power the Europeans have is coming from East Africa. They share information is all from East Africa. And once we stir the water, you will see where the power is. Yeah, we need to break these people so that they can speak. But now they're silent. And the only thing I'm hearing is the Bantu saying, we need to unite. Like, seriously, how do you unite with people? Their history and lifestyle has never changed. It's only the Bantus who don't know who they are. Yeah, but when you tell the Bantu this, they think you're insulting them. That you don't want them to unite with the Maasais, you don't want them to unite with the Somalis. Yeah, you're blocking them. They don't understand what is going on. So yeah, so these videos, part of it, I'm gonna be sharing some very, some of the languages gonna be provocative, because the authors of most of these books were not what do I call the indigenous people. Like when the Europeans came to, especially like Kavirondo, the Luya land, they used to hire the informant, or used to have the informant, the Luos, yeah, and other people to tell them things about Luya. So in their book, they will call these witches, today you have a clan within Luya called Maraj. And this is an insult. Like the name is an insult. It's a Luo word, which means like it's an insult. You have another, like the Kalenjin, there's a subclan of the Kalenjin called Nyangori who live among Luya. They're called This is an insult. So most of these names are insults, especially from the Luo or the Tutsi or the Hima. They used to tell European names which are insults. Yeah. So sometimes don't even call yourself these names, especially if you don't know where they came from, because 99% of them are just insults. And most of them they came from Tutsi, Hima, Fulani, Luo. Yeah, this group, especially Fulani, Tutsi, Hima, those are the people who gave European the names that we have today. So when you call your name this name, do investigation, where they do some thorough investigation, you'll discover 99% chances are these are insults. So when you call yourself Maraj, you're insulting yourself. When you call yourself Nyangori, you're insulting yourself. So these names were given to you by your enemies. So let's go deep. We're gonna start with this map. So this is one of the oldest map. It was discovered, I think it was discovered in Greece, or one of the Orthodox. It is one of the oldest painting showing the map of ancient Israel, and it's called Madaba map. And as you can see, ancient Israel was located from a place where there was a river, big river, going somewhere or going either north or south. And you can see there were gazelles and the lions. And then on the eastern side of it, there was like an ocean. So where was this place? Is it modern Israel? In the current Israel, do you think there's a river, big river, going either down or south, whatever? Have you ever seen any river going from the current state of Israel? Anyway, yeah. See, this is a better angle, so you can have a better judgment. Yeah, look at it. You see the fish. So from my own perspective of this map, this is what I know. Ancient Israel used to be and is still located between Yemen, going all the way south to where it's called Sofala or Zimbabwe. All this land going to eastern Congo was the location of Shem. That's where Shem was given his lot or his land from eastern Kivu or Kivu, coming back all the way to Yemen, southern Yemen, and some little part of Saudi Arabia, but it was not Palestine, but just it was touching Arabia and then going all the way south down to Mozambique or wherever. So, but the southern part was never occupied. Nobody lived there. Even the Khoisan and the Khoi and San never lived in those places. Nobody used to live there. It is until 1800 that people started migrating to those lands. Nobody ever occupied. So I've seen people saying, the Hebrew used to live in South Africa. So I wonder, even the Zulus migrated to those lands like few years ago. So anyway, yeah. So and when you read the book of Jeremiah, you know that he was begging Israelites not to go to Egypt, and eventually was killed. Jeremiah was torn to death around Kush, which is Sudan. So are you telling me Jeremiah was fleeing from South Africa, going to Egypt, and he first skipped Kush, then went to Egypt, then came back? Does that make sense to you? So my personal view, ancient Egypt, which is between Yemen, going all the way south to Sofala. That is the location of true Israel. So Kenya, Tanzania, that is where Adam and Eve lived, right there. That is the Garden of Eden. And this information is known by especially the so-called Zionists. They know this. And when you listen to them, when they're talking, they say one day they will take all this land. Okay? Although they know this is not the inheritance, the original Hebrews were given this land. And this is a land that you are given by covenant, not by America, but not by British. This is the Creator who allocated this land to Shem. So you cannot say, oh, you're just gonna take it because we have a nuclear weapon, because America, we make money, so we're gonna take it from them. Yeah, there is God, and He's the one who decided everything. You can have the nuclears and the bombs and whatever, but if God decides you will not even see tomorrow, you will not. So now I want to go to my topic of the day. So basically, we're going to be talking about the Amara. So most people don't even know about this, but when the Portuguese, now I know in the previous video I talked about the Portuguese, why they came, and we know they were invited. I talked about the Abyssinian inviting them, and they told them like the last known Christian were within East Africa, below them, not them. But when Portuguese came, especially the Germans, when the Germans came later on, they made the Amhara those Christians. They made them like the version, the priest John said, Christian were below them. But now the Germans, because the Germans were very racist, they didn't accept, they could not accept that black people could be the original Christian. So they decided to make them Amhara those Christian. So now there's no more Christian. Nobody's talking about what the letter of President John was describing. And you will see why they did that. In another video, I will be doing that. I will be showing why they deleted that, including how Kraft was even chased in Ethiopia and came to Kenya, and then other stories that follow up, why they deleted that story for good. And you will never find anything or any evidence. It was completely deleted. So when you go to modern India, like the current India, this is not the ancient India. This is now the modern India. It was made India by British. It's called Victorian era history. They have documents or documented history called the Purana Sanskrit. So in this document, they have documented the entire world history since Adam. Entire history. It's all compiled. And the British Geographical Society didn't want people to know this. So that's why they were fighting with Indians, because they wanted to delete that part of history so that they can install their own version, which is called the Victorian era history. So according to the Purana Sanskrit, the oldest people, the created people, like where God created people, was in Kenya and Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, this area where the Nile begins. And according to the Purana Sanskrit, the priestly people that were known or were given power for healing and to do other things, the prophetic people, were known as the Amara people, who used to live near a mountain called Ameru and another place called Mandera. But they used to call it, the Amara'S, the Purana Sanskrit called that place Mandara. And that's you see that, according to their document, that is the oldest place on earth. Like, all humans were there for a very long time. So if you have your own time, you can go deep and research all that information, because it's well documented. So when John Huntington Speck was sent to India, the other India, he didn't find Christian there, but they were talking about their mother. They told him, we know the people you're looking for are not here. They're in Africa, and they are called the Amara. And these people, they are the oldest. They have given us all the things that we have here in India. All the knowledge that we have came from them. And they told them they used to meet the Abyssinian, and the Abyssinian also spoke about the Amara being close to the source of the Nile, which was below them, and that's where you found the Amara. So European didn't like that. That's why John Huntington Speck was murdered by British Geographical Society. So according to this, is now one of the book written by John Huntington Speck. He quoted so many references. I mean, he wrote so many references or quotes about what he was taught in India, the current India. So I'll just read some of the script. He says, I came at the same time to the conclusion that all the previous information concerning the hydrography of this region, as well as the mountain of the moon, originated with the ancient Hindus, who told it to the priest of the Nile, and that all those busy Egyptian geographers who disseminated their knowledge with a view to be famous for their long-sightedness in solving the deep-seated mystery which enshrouded the source of the Holy River were so many hypothesis humbugs. Reasoning thus, the Hindu traders alone in those days, I believe, had a firm basis to stand upon from the intercourse with the Abyssinian, though whom they must have heard of the country of Amara, which applied to the Nyanza and the Wanyamwezi of the men of the moon. So you see, he was talking, he knew, like he had all the information, even from the Ethiopian themselves, because he went there, he went to Ethiopia, he met the Somalis, he met the Nyamwezi, the Sukuma. They told him the only Amara they knew were at the Nyanza, like on the other slope where the Zionists wanted to, create the Israel in Luyaland. So those are the last known Amara people. They are the last ones, no other after them. That's what people knew. So how this information changed, we don't know, but you'll see. So now this is a book written by Kraft. We know Kraft was, all these was sent by British Geography Society, but in Africa they know them as pioneers. They know them as explorers, evangelists, prophets. If you go to any Africa person right now and ask him who was Kraft, they tell you he was a prophet, he was an evangelist. But when you do your background check on all these people that came to Africa, especially between 1890 to 1940s, 70% of them were military. They had military background. They were spies, yeah, and a big number of them, they're descended today are in Palestine, calling themselves, what they call themselves. Yeah, so these, including King Leopold, all these people, they are the same people today. Yeah, don't want to go into those details. Anyway, so I want to quote what he said. I already did this in the other video. He says, Kafa, the missionary has been in area. He stated that there is a frequented route from Barawa on the seacoast to the Kafa. The journey occupying 24 days, the estimated distance being 360 geographical miles. 12 days journey south of Kafa, he mentioned, are people nearly white. So keep that in mind. We talk about the story of white because, in Africa they have said everything. We will talk about that later. Like everything they found, especially in Uganda, Luyaland, Zimbabwe, they said it was brought by white people. And this was a theory created by the Hima, the Luo, the Tutsi, and their branches. That they say that everything came with them, although they didn't build this thing, or they don't have names for this thing while they were not. They never did this thing while they are not, but they came down and did them in Kenya, Uganda, or Zimbabwe, but they couldn't do it where they came from. They don't have the names. Like you go to Somalia, they don't have the name like Omwami, but they tell you the Tutsi are the one who brought Omwami to Bantus. And then you do like a background check, even among the Somalis or the Ethiopian, they never had a king, a real king. Yeah, what they had was called feudalism, not a king. A total different thing. But the Europeans have tried so hard to make these people appear like they were so much better than the rest of the people. But that's not true. Once you do a deeper research, yes, these people are very smart. Their IQ is very higher than the Bantus, but because of that, they have been fighting each other for a very long time. Couldn't even agree on anything. But the Bantus, with a low IQ as we are, yeah, I think that's why God chose the Bantu, because we are very humble. This humble thing, yeah, we'll talk about it later. Yeah, so Speck came to, he said on that previous slideshow that the Ethiopians, or the Amara, were found like 24 days. 24 days. No, not 24 days. He said there 15 days from Kefa. So when you look on this map, in the previous video I had mentioned this. So when you look at this map, if you say 15 days from Kefa to any other area southward, you land in Kisumu, Kenya. Yeah, and historically, this is well documented. If you go to UNESCO, if you go to Kenya Museum, the place today called Chakwel, Lake Chakwel, there's a whole region, a big area to this day, still called locally. And the Maasais who used to say or the Karamajong, they have documented all this information. They would tell you the people who passed here, we know them. They were called locally. They were priestly people, and they were like, they used to make a lot of pots, build huts, and sleep on beds. And they passed here, and they were being chased by another group who were following them. But we lived with them for a very long time. They were farmers. They used to give us food, and then eventually they migrated south. And this place is still called locally to this day. To this day, still called locally to this day. And Europeans are hell-bent not to accept this because they want to be seen like they are the ones who have been doing things through the Hima, the Tutsi, and the Tutsi Hima, the Luo are descended of white people. So this is what they are doing. Yeah, this is what is happening right now. If you go to these people like the Hima, the Tutsi, the Luo, they tell you, if you read their history, they tell you they're the descendant of the white people from north. Yeah, and that's why they're fighting the Bantus. So when you check this route, 15 days from Kefa, going south by foot, you land in Kisumu. And it's not by coincidence or by mistake that we have the name Kisumu here. And you see, the UNESCO has been dilly-dallying with the name Kisumu for a very long time. They tell you, oh, Kisumu is a Luo word. But when you go to, Luo are not just one group. You find Luo in Uganda. There are Luos in Eastern Congo, Kivu, where the same military went. There are Luos in Tanzania. There are Luos in Ethiopia. I've asked them, go, you can do your own research, go and ask them, what is the meaning of Kisumu? They don't know. But this is a Luya word, it's especially Maragoli. We still use the same word. We say kusuma. Suma. Kusuma. Like, it's where you go to hustle. Yeah, it comes from the food that we eat to gali. Usuma. Kusuma, usuma. So they've said it's a Kalenjin word, oh, it's a Nandi word, oh, it's a Maasai word. They've tried all these things. You kind of played all these things to hide this information. Yeah, so the original people of this area, of Kisumu, were Luya. Yeah, and a lot of Luya were killed around this area by the Mijay, the military from Ethiopia, from Sudan, from Egypt. They came and killed a lot of Luyas here before they settled and took over the land. So we're going to be talking about that. As bad as this history may appear, it is good we talk about it. Because this is one part of history. We cannot just leave it. We have to confront it. We have to speak about it. Because it is part of us. Whether we just, even if we decide to hide it, it will still come out. I mean, eventually it will come out. So this place, if you go around Kisumu, all the way to Kampala, going down to northwest Tanzania, you'll find a lot of Bantu names. But these places have been settled and occupied by the people, the Mijay, the military from Egypt. So you wonder, why do they have Bantu names when the people who are staying there or who settled there are not Bantus? So let's go deeper, a little bit deeper. That was like our introduction part. So we're gonna go deeper to the meat side of the story. So we wanna discuss everything that will build our story this day. So the first question is, how did the Mijay armies, or renamed Funj, in ancient time, the Mijay or the armies who came from Kush but were ruling in Ethiopia, why did they? Because they were used to be called Funj by the Turkic Ottoman. So how did they just disappear from Egypt and Sudan? Just disappear like that. History deleted. And then all the artifacts reappeared in Uganda, Kenya, and northwest Tanzania. And even Ituri, or sometimes they call it Kivu. Just look, just do your research. You'll see these people, they created like a letter C. They encircle Lake Victoria. And this is the area that today Europeans are fighting using these people. Like you go to Kivu, there's a lot of unfight. If it's just because Luya were very peaceful, others will also be fighting. But we are very peaceful people. We don't have, especially like us, Maragoli, we don't have land, but we are just peaceful, and we chose peace, not to be fighting. But others will be fighting to this day because we don't have land. We literally don't have land. And where Maragoli people are found today, even those Maragoli who are very hard-headed, ask them how many generations they can count backward who are buried in their current lands. They can't even mention 7, like forefathers. It will go like to 4th, and then they tell you we moved from another. They don't know where they came from. There's no Maragoli who can show you like 7 or 8 graves of their grandfather, like in one land. Nowhere, no, not even one. It will end at around 5 or 4. Yeah, where we are today, we only have like 3. You can go back 3 generations. After that, they don't know where they came from. So, and you can go around Maragoli, ask them, like, how comes you guys don't have, you don't have even the indigenous name? Like most of these places are named using Kalenjin names or very funny names. Where are your original land? Yeah. So this is one of the big topic. Like there's the Kenya government has been sitting on various reports. It's called the land reports or the land commission. Like there are so many commission that were placed since 1940s, and they were trying to address the issue of justice and why Kenya people have been fighting, and it all goes back to land. It all goes back to land because most of the people in Kenya, they don't have ancestral home. Especially the Maasai have been displaced. They don't have their ancestral home. Like you can walk around Kenya. You find all the places are named using Maasai name: Menengai, Nanyuki, Nyahururu. But you find the Kikuyu all over those lands. And the Maasais have been pushed to Narok, and today they don't even have a place to feed their cows, and they are so poor. The land is stolen like every day. Yeah, and then you come to Western Kenya, you find Maragoli. There's no way Maragoli can expand because on the left we have the Nyore, on the right we have the Nyangori, on south we have Luo, up we have other Luo. You can't expand. And when the European came, we were like the second biggest community. They had to scatter us like all over the country because there was no land. No land. So you ask, like, what happened? Where is ancestral land? Where is our home? There's no land. We live like we are in a city. No land. We live in 50 by hundreds. So where is an ancestral land? Anyway, so big question that we ask: what happened to the Funch? How did they just disappear from Upper Egypt? Then they emerged in Uganda, Ituri, and Western Kenya with the same artifact and military organization called Ruoth. Yeah, that happened to the Makuria Mara in the northern Sudan and Egypt. Yeah, and what happened to the Makuria Mara? Today, if you read the story of Makuria Mara, they say, oh, Makuria Mara are Coptic. Yeah, the Coptic are ancient Egyptian. Yeah, but they're speaking in Greek. Yeah, you see, there's a lot of cover up. So how can you be American speaking in Chinese in Bulgaria? Because Coptic ancient Egyptian speaking in Coptic, that is Greek, which is the original language of ancient Egyptian. Come on, that's a lie. But you see, the Europeans, since they took over history, they had to force us, like, either you accept or you accept. Yeah. So there's no other way. Say, oh, the North Africans are Africans and you are brothers. You have to accept whether they don't look like you, they are not the same people as you, they are your brothers, and there was a borderline dividing you, and that is part of history. You have to accept or accept, and that's what they're doing. Especially America, they force you a very fake history. We tell you have to accept or accept. No, you don't have a choice. Accept. We are telling this the version that you have to accept or accept. Yeah. So you go to North Africa, you find very people. Like I've met people from Morocco. You look at these people, like they tell you they're from Morocco, and you're in the diaspora, and you wonder, like, who are these people? Say, hey, I'm a brother. Like, come on, you're not brother. I've never seen people like you in sub-Saharan Africa, and these are facts. Yeah. So when you go to Africa, this is the problem we have. We are history. Our history. It is we have a forced history. We are told like, this is what you guys did by force. When you try to tell your own history, it's like, no. You guys, no, that is not your history. We have to accept what you have to accept what we're telling you. That is the real version. Yeah. So you see, these are the artifacts of it's called the Zumba of the Funj in Sudan. So you see the same being used in Kenya, Western Kenya. So and we know it is the Funj people who are hired by the Ottoman to kick or to chase away the Amara people. This is well recorded information. You can go around and check the fight between the Funj and the Amara or the Makuria. But today they tell you, oh, the Makuria, or, they're the people you see today in Egypt here. They're the first Christian. But we have seen those people that today they're still in Egypt. These are not African. These are Greeks. Even when they come to say like Kenya, you can't tell these are your fellow Africans. Like, seriously. So according to history, it is only the Shilluk people who defended the Amara. And after a period of time, the Amara priests and clan, the priest clan and the Makuria were defeated, and coincidentally, Bantu slave trade began in Sudan and not in Congo or West Africa. Most people are not even aware of that. The slave trade of the Bantus did not start in West Africa. It started in Sudan. And those were the Makuria. The Ottoman, the Turk people used to, it was called Bakt. They used to take the Bantus from Sudan, take them to Basra, and then forcefully till the land. So why did they do that? Most people are not even aware. So one of the things they do today, the European historian, the UNESCO, and these people, the tribe, the Hima, the Tutsi, the Luo, and many others who are writing our history for us, they're doing a lot of cover-up. I know they're very smart. I accept they're very smart, they're very intelligent than us, but they are liars. That's one thing you can't change about it. They lie a lot. So one of the things they cover up is that the Amara people were being enslaved by the Turks. So tell me, why would the Ottoman enslave the Greeks or the Copt people and take them to Basra to till land for them? Why would they do that? So the true story is that the Amara were farmers, and they used to live in southern Yemen and on the place called Arwa in Saudi Arabia. These were black people. They were rainmakers, they are priestly people, and they were Hebrews. And some of them, they used to stay a place called Hadramaut. There were so many of them, not just Lemba. There were so many of them. They used to coexist with the Arab, the Bedouins, and many other. They used to live peacefully, very peacefully for a very long time, because these are farmers. They used to just till the land and do their thing. And then the Bedouins used to, like, they were very advantaged because now they have food. They are the richest of all the people. You can go back to history. And this is why Muhammad and these people came to Africa. This is the exact reason. You can go to Mombasa today, go to the Swahili, they will tell you the reason why the Persian, the Shirazi people migrated to the Great Lakes. They migrated to the Zanzibar, Pemba, Lamu. It is because once these people were kicked out from Saudi Arabia and Yemen, there were no rainmakers. The place became dry. It is known. Medina used to be green for a very long time, used to have food. But they chased them, they kicked them, and then Muhammad, was telling them stories. Yeah, and that is how the place became desert to this day. And they know it very well. You can go and do your own research. They know this very well. That once upon a time, there are people who used to occupy Medina, Sanaa, Hadramaut. They were farmers and rainmakers. And these people made this place green. Food was plenty. And once they were kicked out, disappeared, the place dried up. And that's why you see a lot of people coming from Iraq, Iran, all these people coming, they were all coming for food. What kind of food were they coming from? Millet. Now you have to follow the direction of millet, especially millet and sorghum. Today they say, oh, millet used to come from Sudan or whatever. These are stories. These are lies. If it is true, then they could get it from Ethiopia. Why did they choose to come to Mombasa and Lamu? You see, they were following the people who used to farm there. So there was no food in southern Saudi Arabia. And they know this. Talk to their Muslim people, especially those who eventually settled in Zambia. They will tell you this. They know it very well. There was no food. And Hajira, they call it Hajira. Or Hajira, when Muhammad came to this, they liked just Ethiopia. It was not Ethiopia. They came further south. Yeah, further south. They came the first Muslim came very further south. Yeah, and this is well documented history. They just wanted to say like this. There was no communication between the sub-Saharan and Saudi Arabia, but there was a lot of communication. In fact, when the Muslims were suffering, there was no food. They came down. So, do you think they just came to a place they never had before? They didn't know these people. Like, how can you just today? Can you just take a ship, or like say you take a boat and just go to China where you never met anybody, you don't know anything because you don't have food? Yeah, you see, some of the stories that you can say, sometimes they don't make sense. So when the Arabs came to settle to say Mombasa, that was like around 680 AD. That's after the Bakht failed. It's called Bakht. Yeah, they decided to come. So the richest, these were the richest people, the kings and the queens and the richest family. They came with the boats and settled around Mombasa, Zanzibar. Yeah, so you imagine today America is devastated. So you have the first family like the Biden and the Trump going to Congo. Yeah, because of food. So the rest of the people will be following slowly and slowly, and then you have a whole pack of people settling all the way down to Mozambique. And this part of history is not even documented. It's not even, if you don't want to share about it. Yeah. So the Zanj rebellion. So the Zanj rebellion, it was by these people. Like I've said, it started with the Bakht. After the Bakht failed, they decided they were taking, sometimes we call them Zanj, sometimes they call it Shenzi. These are Bantus, yeah, from Eastern Congo, from Uganda, from Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia. These were Bantus. They are taken, not Sudanese, not Ethiopia, not Somali, not Tutsi, not Hima, just Bantus. And the reason why they were taking them there, not even slavery, food. They wanted them to grow for them food. So after some time, they revolted. Yeah. You want to settle with people, but you want to trick them to settle with them. You don't want to have if these people decided you know what, let's, you can have a land, you can stay with us, grow food for us. That's it. I don't think there'll be any problem. But they wanted the Bantus to go there in Basra, but still like slaves. Yeah. Yeah, and you see what happened. There was a revolt, fight and chaos. So this happened after the Amara people were kicked out. And there's a lot of cover-up about the Amara. They don't want you to know about the Amara. So in most cases, if you go to Wikipedia, they will tell you, oh, the Amara, it happened around 800 BC. So the Amara were the first or the last known group of Christian. And we will cover that. We will go deeper to that. Even if you look at the map where the Amara people settled, the thing that they established around the route, you will see things like Soba. We will talk about Suba because this is too deep. It is a whole new topic that we will cover later on about the Suba people. So when the Makuria people or the Kuria people or the Amara people were kicked out or kicked from there, they were pushed and then they disappeared from Sudan. Around Sudan, that's where they were last seen because of slavery. Because they kept on reducing, the number kept on reducing, because 100 taken to Iraq or say Mecca, and then they disappear. Then another group is taken, then they disappear. So they felt like these people are killing our people. They decided to run away. And when you come to Kenya, you'll find a people called Maragoli. they have kept the history for a very long time. They will tell you one thing: their people were being killed and eaten by another group that came and settled with the Arabs. They were being eaten. They called them the cannibals. Well, even when the Europeans came to as whatever, as evangelists, the Quaker, whatever those churches, and they came, the Maragos were running away. They used to call them Majini or Mbukinya. That's why the name Mbukinya started. You see, these people are gonna eat us like the way the other used to eat us where our ancestors came from, because they kept oral history. They used to tell the people, certain people came and began to eat our people, and we reduced in number. That's why we had to run away, and we pushed southward. We had to run away. Anyway, yeah. So you see the dates. They say the Amara people existed around 800 BC. So 800 BC is before Christ, while the Makuria and the Amara were Christian. So how will Christian, or the last known group of Christian, exist before Christ? So this is part of the conspiracy by the Romans, especially the Roman Catholic and the Portuguese and the Germans. They did a lot of cover up, and they're very good. They are very good in this. Yeah. So they wanted you to know that they are the first Christian. The Roman, they are the only one who had the original version, which is not true. Yeah, they only have a corrupted version. So now I wanted to in the other video I was trying to remember this name, Gondokora. This is one of the oldest trade route, not Mombasa, not Lamu, not all those names that you see around the coast, the East African coast. Yeah, this is the oldest, Gondokora. Yeah, and I feel like this is a Luya word, like when you're looking back, because I don't know how do more of investigation. So Gondokora, this was like where the Bantus used to be packed up. So it is a place between Sudan and Uganda. It is at the border, like between the border of Sudan, Uganda, and then Ethiopia, Kenya. So these were people used to be packed, like the Bantus will be packed by the Nilotes. Yeah, they will pack them, and then from there, one group will be taken to will be taken straight to Egypt or Ethiopia, Abyssinia, or Bahar el Ghazal, whichever one, you know. So this is how they used to take the slaves. So this is oldest. This is one of the oldest, not the one that you see around Mombasa or whatever they call you know. That's the newest. The oldest was around was along the Nile River. Yeah, and a lot of Sudanese were killed by John Huntington Speke, Barton. Yeah, they were hanging them. If they found the Nilotes like taking slave using the Nile River, they will hang them, and it's all documented. So because it was so rampant, and the numbers could not even accounted, because there were a lot of people being captured, especially from Uganda, going north. Yeah, and this is why people are running away. Yeah, people are running away. So what happened is that when the Turkic or the Ottoman took over Egypt, then eventually migrated and conquered most part of Sudan or North Sudan, they began to ask for, it's called what, like tributes. So you have to pay tributes in form of food or slaves. So for these people to stay on their land, they had to come down, capture slave, give them like as a form of payment. If not, then they will be captured themselves, and whatever happened to them, yeah, because the Ottoman, all they wanted is either you become their military, and before you become military, part of their military, they had to castrate you. So yeah, the Sudanese didn't want to be castrated, but for the Bantus, it was strictly to go and till the land. You had to go there, be slave, farm, you know, all those stuff, food. So let's go deep and investigate who are the Makurias, or who are the Amara people. Like I've said, they say the Makuria are modern, the Greeks, today, and the mixed Greeks, Turkic people that you see in modern Egypt. But when you do a thorough research, you discover the Makuria or the Amara people had some stuff or had some things that are not found or could not be found in modern Coptic people that you see today in Egypt or even in Ethiopia. So who are they? That's the question. Who are the Makuria? Who are the Amara? So one of the tools or the weaponry that they deployed or used during warfare was they used the what do you call it? The sling. They used the sling, and this is one of the things that the Hebrew used to have it or used to use during their warfare. So it is well recorded that the Makuria used slings in warfare, and this sling has to be made by something we call in Swahili kamba or Luya Mukoi. You have to make this. So how could it be like the Coptic people used this against the Turk, and then it just disappeared from the history? It's not there. The Ethiopians say used it, not there, deleted from the history. Yeah, not there anymore. So like I've said, the Makuria and the Mara, the priest clan, were known for using slings, and this is how they have been documented as using slings for warfare. Yeah, and this is well documented this way. This first Christian kingdom or empire or whatever, they were using sling for defense. So what other people in Africa or Asia or say Europe were using slings? Yeah, you can't just say these things that were there and then they disappear like that. Yeah, and then the Coptic people became peaceful, live with Turk, are happy ever after. That's a lie. You have to investigate. If said the modern people you see today in Egypt are the ancient Amara Makuria, there's a way or there's something extra that you can go and investigate from them, and that will link them back to this Makuria. But today there's none other than stories made up by Europeans. There is no evidence, zero evidence. Yeah. So the same sling was the mode of weaponry or weapon used among the Baganda, the Bavuma, and all the Luyas people until the Kalenjin, especially the Silrikwa group trained Luya on the use of spear. Funny enough, that will shock so many people. The Luya people used to make steel and very nice swords, and the arrow, the spear, the arrow, the front part of the arrow, but they never made one for war. It was not part of their culture to engage in fights. So they never made such things for that are just for war. They didn't even think about we want to create something to defend ourselves for war. Yeah, it was not part of their culture and history. So never use it. So like I've said, the Luya, Baganda, Bavuma, Luya, Bavuma for the people like the Banyala. Those are people along the people who lived inside or around the islands of the Lake Victoria, but on the border of Uganda and Kenya. They used to call them Bavuma. Yeah. So all those people, they used to defend themselves using slings. So now in this book called written by Statens Sweden, it says among the Basoga, Bafuma on the Uvuma Island, and the tribes in neighboring tracts of Kavirondo as a weapon. When I say Kavirondo, Europeans are very smart. When they left, they made sure they lumped the Kavirondo. So when you mention Kavirondo, you'll think you're talking about both Luo and Luya, but Kavirondo are Luya people. So try to separate the two. Kavirondo are Luya, not Luo. So say the neighboring tracts of Kavirondo as a weapon. Josku writes, as a regard the Basoga, the men with the sling often do the most damage by slinging stone, which injures the head of the enemies and frequently cause ugly wounds, which at times results in death. Now look down here. The Luo person, I did not observe the sling. You see? So today, UNESCO, these people are very smart. When you see people doing certain things, ask yourself why they're doing this thing. Today, they make sure that the Luo have adopted the sling so that when people come to document, they say, "Oh, the Luo are using the sling." But historically, Luo used to use the long spears. That was their weapon. These are the Egyptian shield and the Egyptian whatever spears. Very, very what long spears. So, but today, because they know they have read history and they wanna like change or swap history, they know the Luya, the Baganda, the Basoga were the people who used to use slings. So now they have changed. So they adopted the sling, so that when UNESCO document this thing, they say, oh, it's the Luo who introduced the sling to the Bantu. Yeah, you see, that's what they've been doing. The UNESCO. That's why you see, if you go today to UNESCO, which is in Kenya and I guess New York, you go there, you see a lot of these people, these same people, rewriting our history. Yeah, today you will find it like they change their goalpost, saying this tomorrow, this, but always advantage to the Hamitic tribes. Yeah, they never give credit to any Bantu. We're always called all the negative things. Yeah, they always look down upon us. Yeah, it's not even European, it is in Africa. All these things, they're conceived, they're first created in Africa. And then European just, magnify them, just expand them and make it like everybody, so that everybody can see and laugh at us and, hey, the Bantus, they're just, these are caste people. Yeah, that's what they do. So you see, he said the Bavuma, Basoga, the Kavirondo made what? They used the slings. Yeah, that was the only weaponry used by the Bantu. So here he says Luya. So this is from another book. He says Luya used slings, axes. Like now, this is now me saying the Luya they used for weaponry. They used slings, axes. But they adopted or were taught on the use of spears by the Maasais and Kalenjin. But before that, they didn't use they didn't have the spears or the whatever the bows and the arrows. No, none of that. So there's a word when you go to ancient Maragoli, and one of the historians, this guy called Wagner Gunther, who came to document the history of Maragoli. You see, when he was writing the history of Maragoli, he used to underline certain words, and I used to go back to Google search and like wonder why he was underlining or make it red on his book. And I discovered most of these words that he was underlining or they were Hebrew words, yeah. And nobody, anyway, we'll talk about that later. So in this book, say the war that was fought from Chavavo. So the word Chavavo is a Hebrew word. It comes from Avavo. That's why the word Tel Aviv comes from Avavo. So it says the war that was fought from Avavo and back up to the hills, Mugova and Ngurumutu, points of the hill, and down to the present boundary was courtesy of the people like Ouko. The Maragoli fought with slings, Misandega, but the Luo had leather shields, and they would approach resistively till they speared Maragoli. So you see, I'm just saying this because just to emphasize what people use the slings first. Because today you see the Luo using the slings, and most people think, oh, these are the weapons of the Luo, but that's not true. They adopted it from the Luya. Yeah, the Luya. We don't make what do we call like weapon for war. We're not a warlike tribe. Yeah. So on this report, these are like the land report. Yeah, it was talking about how the Luo were fighting and took over the land of the Maragoli. Yeah, it's a whole new topic, and it's just basically talking about how the Luyas, especially the Maragoli, the history was changed, and some of the older Maragoli, by the time this guy called W.E. Owen came to Western Kenya, he was sad, but the way he interrogated the Luya people, how the land was stolen and they made like landless, it was very sad because most of them they were saying, our land, our border, we used to live next to the Baganda and the Basoga, we're just neighbors. Some of them are our own clans, our own people, but now we are separated. In between us we have strangers between us who have stolen our land and made us squatters in our own place. Yeah. So yeah. So this is now by C.H.W. Hobley. So in his book he says, they revert to Kavirondo proper. The Nilotic stock in that country, although occupying as a rule a less fertile area, appear to be more vigorous than the Bantu. And the Lakoli on the other Bantu tribes on the present eastern frontier all tell me that their forefathers occupied territory some 15 miles to the west of the original location, having been gradually driven eastward by the Jaluo. The Jaluo settlement on the southern shore of Lugoe Bay or Kavirondo Bay, as it lies being renamed, are also evidence of the persistent way the Nile people have pushed southward in search of land. Not land, it was not even land. It was not land. Never. It has never been about land. So, like I've said before, if you do more research, there were people who are being kicked or chased away from Sudan, or say northern Sudan, along the Nile River, and they were not being chased by lions or not by cheetahs or other people. And this is exact thing that we are talking about right now. The Luo were chasing the Bantus, the modern people we call the Bantus today. Yeah. And this is a well documented history, but most people don't want to look at it and do their own investigation. There's no way you can be just following people and enslaving them, people that you don't know. Yeah. You've never met anywhere before. So the migration and the settlement that you see, especially in Uganda, Western Kenya, this was a military style settlement. Yeah. And the people were fighting each other because the groups, everybody wanted to be the lord. They used to call it mpako mpako. Yeah, they want to control, because now whoever controls the Luya, especially the Luya, you control the trade. You get, once they get wakivuna, once they get their mavuno, utavuna hata una enjoy, unapata hiyo kitu. You see, that's what was happening. So the story that Luos migrated because of they wanted fish, or they migrated because of they wanted whatever, all those stories, they are lies. Yeah, the migration is very, very, it aligns with the migration of all the military called Funj, how they migrated the same way the Luo migrated, and the Funj were pushing people. They were kicking their Mara until their Mara disappeared. So, like I said, in that book, by Owen, he said about Avavo. So now, wanna share something else about the Avavo. So, Maragoli, they're always busy. Yeah, they were always busy because they were trying to offer sacrifice. We always used to offer daily sacrifices. It's called war sacrifice. So they used to do it every day because of the Luo. Yeah, they have been following them track. Not just Maragoli. Maragoli just one group. These are all people, including the Suba, the one we call today Suba. This used to be one group in Uganda. Yeah, if you do a DNA on the Suba people, you do on the Baganda, you do the same people, the Hutu, same group. Yeah. And we've been followed around by the Hima, the Tutsi, the Luo, been enslaving this group for a very long time. So in this book, say victory song at the same time brandishing their spears, and these are now Maragoli, what the Gunther wrote about. Say the victory songs at the same time brandishing their spears and pointing them toward the country of the Jaluo, the chief enemies of the Logoli, which they can see in the distance spreading at the foot of the range of hills on which the sacrifice takes place. They continue singing this song throughout the time during which the sacrifice priests perform the second part of the ceremony procedure, the killing and offering the sacrifice animal in the cave. In the interior of the cave is a hut, from the center post of which a drum, the chief object of ritual importance, is suspended. The drum, Ngoma, which is about 2 feet high, is said to have been kept in the rock cave for many generations and to have been carved from the trunk of a tree, which the Logoli felled in their former boat to the south of Kavirondo Gulf, and then carried across the Gulf in a boat So the boat part of the story will need to be, investigated, because that's a whole new topic and with a lot of evidence. And the drum, and this drum, Ngoma, a point, however, on which, despite frequent attempts, I could not obtain any enlightenment, in addition to the drum, the cave. So I was told also contains several beer posts and antelope horns. The one that people blow, called the shuva. So before the chief priest can begin to make the offering, he and his acolyte must first clean the interior of the cave, which they have not visited since preceding sacrifice. They remove the spiderweb from the pots and the drum, restore the horns that have dropped on the ground to their proper place in horizontal rock crevice, anoint the drum with the tea amaguta. So you see, this is not something that primitive people can be doing. Yeah, you can't just be a very primitive and you know how to do such thing. It means this was like either something that they had learned for a very long time, because it was a procedural. They had steps, and to this day they are still performing these steps. Yeah, one after the other. You can't say, in the way they say women should not come closer to the mountain, and all these things. When you just do your own research, you see it is exactly what the Lemba are doing in South Africa and Zimbabwe. So you can't say a very primitive people can be doing all these things. Yeah, these are not primitive ideas or primitive. Yeah. So now, another topic that I would like to talk about, it is when some European, especially the Egyptologists, try to always tell us that ancient Egyptians enslaved Kushites. Yeah, they try to separate when in fact, and when you do your own research, you discover the Kushites or the Sudanese, they ruled ancient Egyptian for a very long time, and they were always one people. In fact, ancient Egyptian, the borders or the territory of ancient Egypt went all the way south, up to even Congo. Yeah, all these parts were part of Egypt and Kush. So it's only the eastern side going south that was not part of their inheritance. But otherwise, all this part was to be called Punt. It was the inheritance. So how can it be like one group enslave the other when these people are together? One is even worship the god of the other. They do one, even the military comes from the other group, and then you say they enslave the other, which is not true. So yeah, as you can see here, they are Nubis. So the ancient Egyptians used to worship the Sudanese god for a very long time. So how can they enslave? It's like saying British enslaved America or America enslaved British. That is not possible. Yeah. But if you look at it from European perspective, yeah, it's possible. But when you look at it from African perspective, it is not possible, because the ancient Egyptians are the people you see in East Africa today. When you put the Nilotes, the Oromo, the Somalis, the Ethiopian together, which I've done, we went to the same college, same school, have worked together. These people, most of the words when they speak about water, they can understand each other. Yeah, when you talk about some of the names for lion, food, the words are not so different. Yeah, so how do you see one group enslave the other when these people can understand each other? So European, they play around with people who are so ignorant, especially if you've never been to East Africa and you don't understand how Somalia, Oromo, Ethiopians, and the Nilotic people, how these people are so related, the Kalenjin, yeah, the Tutsi. If you've been to East Africa and you see how these people are related, cultural, historically, physically, height, yeah, you will not even accept everything, those things that Europeans are saying. You'll not even waste your time arguing with them, because you don't need more evidence. You don't need any type of evidence. You don't even need to go and engage European, because the evidence is in East Africa. The Maasai still wear those things that used to be worn by ancient Egyptian. All the things are still in East Africa. So here on this picture, they say Assyrians were enslaving Nubians or Kushites, yeah, and people believe it. But the question is, who are these ancient Kushites today? Who are they? Where are they? Like, can any European Egyptologist or Nubiologist can they produce these Nubians and say these people look like those ancient Kushites? Yeah. Can they? Can they produce even one of them? Can they produce one Nubian? They say, assume we're talking about Somalia because they call the Somali Kushite. Can they produce one Somalia who has thick lips like that? Can they do that? No, but they play around with our brain. Sometimes we don't even need to argue with them because when somebody's you wanna argue over lies and propaganda, yeah. So how do you say these are Kushites? Look at their tummy. These are Bantus, yeah. Just look at them. Look at the legs, yeah. Look at the Mindumbu. They really call it Indumbu. Look at them. Those are not Kushites, yeah. And if you doubt, look at this. Do you think these are Somalis? Yeah. So how do they evolve so fast? Look at the earrings. What people used to wear brass earrings, not Luya. Huh? These are Bantus, yeah. Look at the thick lips. Look at everything. Look at the lines of the nose. These are Bantu. When they say these are Nubians, what Nubians? Which Nubians? Can they produce one Nubian that look like these people? Yeah. So sometimes you don't even have to argue with the European because they lie and when they lie they feel like they're telling the truth. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. You don't even need to argue with them. Yeah. These are not Kushites. These are not Nilotic people. Yeah, we know, especially like when you come to Eastern Congo, Luya, the Banande, the Zimbabweans, Zambia, we look like Nilots, but when you do our DNA, we're the same people, we are Bantu. Yeah, but we can confuse us for the Nilotic people, but we're not the same. Once you do your DNA, you'll see we are very different. We're two separate people. We cannot even, yeah, completely different. Yeah. You can confuse us for the Nubian. You can confuse us for the Nilotic people. But when you do DNA, you'll see we are totally different people. Two separate people. Completely different. Yeah. But you can confuse us for them or them for us. But we are different, completely different. Now, I have a question. Why would ancient Egyptian call this one black person alien or foreigners? Because today you can say this guy or this black person here is a Kushite or is a Nubian, is a Sudanese. Remember, most of the pharaohs or the pharaohs of ancient Egyptian used to be buried in Sudan or Kush. So how could they classify people who were just next door as aliens or foreigners? Does that make sense to you? Yeah. When most of the pharaohs and the military and the top generals of ancient Egyptians were Kushite or were people from Sudan. Yeah. So who are these people? So these now the Egyptian. This picture is Egyptian telling or expressing who the foreigners were or who were foreign people to them. Okay. So one of those were these black people, and they are always put together with the Asiatic. These are the foreigners. These are the foreign people to us. People who are not like ours. Yeah. So who are they? Yeah. They say the way they're saying they're like Nubians, the Kushites. Yeah. Now look here. Imagine the Egyptian, ancient Egyptian, which we know these are the Oromos, especially the Oromo, the Galas people, especially the Somali, the Ethiopians. Yeah. Don't believe when Somali tell you that they're Arab. They're not Arabs. Yeah. We know them very well. I'm part of East Africa, and Somalia cannot lie to me. They can lie to any other person, but not me. So imagine Somalia enslaving Sudanese. Yeah. Do you think it's possible? And when you go to DNA, most of the Ethiopian, the Somalis, their DNA, they have some Sudanese blood in their DNA. They know very well. Yeah. They know it very well. So now when you look at the thing that this so-called foreigner is wearing, this is a goat skin. And the same goat skin, same one, was found among Luya. And this is called apron only one by the priest. Even in the Bible, there's this called Jonah or John the Baptist, the one who was chopped, the head was chopped, was wearing an apron. Yeah. These before that, let me go back. Shem was given this goat skin. No, before Shem, let's go back. Let's go back. Adam was given a goat skin to cover his body or cover his private part. And this goat skin disappeared. It was stolen by Nimrod. And then Abraham came back, Shem fought, and then they took it and they go back their power. So the children of Shem, they used to keep this apron or the goat skin as remembrance. And most of the priestly clan used to wear the same as a sign of the protection of their soul and spirit. So when European came, they found these things all over Luya land. And they stole all of them. Stole it. They're all kept at the British Museum. Yeah. So why would they steal this thing if they're not that important? And look at them. They're so beautiful, man. And you know, also the Luya, they used to steal them from the Luya. Yeah, for a known reason. And when you look at the pictures made by the Luya, they tell, oh, you know, these are our things. But when you cross the border, go to Uganda, and the groups that are back in Wahoo and Bahal El Ghazal ask them about this. They tell you, I've never seen anything like this, because they don't know what it is. But this was for the Luya. These are there's some clans among the Luya called Masero. Yeah, Aba Masero. You can find them among the Kisi. Yeah, some have different name among the Suba. These are the same people. They're scattered among the Luyas. They're the ones who used to make this. And this is only for the priestly people. Yeah, I go to Choisi, ancient Choisi, they used to wear this. It's only for the priests. So, like I've said, go to the British Museum, you'll find this skin. Yeah, it's only meant for the priests. Yeah. So, this is now Harry Johnson. So Harry Johnson, you know, he was most of the information or most of the whatever he wrote was fed to him by the Tutsi and the Hima and the Luo. Even see the Mr. Hobley also. Most of the information or the informants or the Luo and the other people. I don't want to mention everybody, but I'm just gonna be specific. The Luo and the Hima. Yeah. So at no time do these people say, you know, I spoke to a Luya and told me this. No. It is always, I was told by my informant, I was told by the Hima, told by the Tutsi, I was told by the Luo. It is still happening. You go to UNESCO in New York or Nairobi, Gigiri, you see, it's only Luo, Kikuyu, Hima, Tutsi, and some foreigners. And the Somali have been complaining about it for a very long time. Say, hey, you people are stealing people's history. Yeah. Back then, I didn't even understand. You know, I didn't even understand why the Somalis were out there complaining. But after doing my own research, I discovered, oh, these people are the ones who are doing it. Yeah. From Kenya, writing lies about everybody. And then, you know, they are doing it for Europeans, especially for America. They go around, they pretend they're journalists or they're like, yeah, the whatever UN or whatever. They come, check you out, check your story, then go back to Gigiri, write it the way they wanted. And then they anyway, it's crazy, man. So now let's go back to Harry Johnson. He said, now he's talking about the Chwezi, as he was told. He said, their function, clothing, and practice were very similar to now this is now talking about the Baganda. The priest of the Bachwezi in Unyoro. They usually wore little white goat skin as apron and were adorned with various charms as antelope horns. So now you see, basically it's talking about the Batembuzi. The Batembuzi, these are where I believe even the Lembas, when you listen to the Lembas talking about migrating from north, they quote Sanaa, and they also quote Shenzi. Nowhere else in Africa did you have Shenzi other than Kenya, Western Kenya, and Uganda. This is where the empire of Shenzi existed. It was the Hutu, the Baganda, the Luya. Yeah, this is where they were used to be insulted to call Shenzi because I don't know, for some reason, it was called the Shenzi Empire, or the Bachwezi. Yeah. So this is where the priestly people existed, and they were the Batembuzi. We call the Batembuzi from Buzi. They used to offer daily goat sacrifices. And yeah, so these people, the Hamites, they according to them, they saw this as witches. To them, this was witchcraft, because it's not part of them. These people, they never circumcise, they're not offering any sacrifice. So for them, this is witchcraft. This is witchcraft. Yeah, why do you offer sacrifice for war? Why do you have to pray? Why do you have to do this? So you'll see, yeah. So down there it says, it is a curious fact attested by several missionaries who are authorities at the practice of the Baganda before Christianity was introduced, that the cross was often employed as a mystical symbol by the priest who directed the worship of the spirit. The priest of the Uganda, Mukasa, carried a pedal and an emblem. So you see, even the cross existed in Buganda, even among it was there. I mean, all these things. There was Christianity in East Africa before Europeans arrived. They already knew about everything that Europeans introduced, but the new version had to be enforced. So we will get there. I will tell you the name, because there was a name before Christianity that used to be known, especially all throughout. And if you go to Uganda, Tanzania, you'll find most people who have converted to the Roman Catholic version. They still use this word to quote the oldest version, but unknowingly, especially the pastors from Uganda, Tanzania, who speaks pure Swahili. You'll hear them saying, don't be a Lakoli, or be Lokoli. Even in Uganda, they say Lokoli, they say Lakoli, and they use it to mean a Christian. Yeah. So how does this name just, you'll see, we will cover that with videos, with all the evidence. Yeah. We will cover it from Saudi Arabia, because it's used to exist in Southern Arabia as Ragol, then went to Spain as Ragol, then came back to Ethiopia as Ragol, Egypt as Ragol, Sudan as Ragol, then migrated to Tanzania and Uganda as Ragol. But we call it Rakoli, first Christians. But then when the place was invaded by the Hamites, Lakol became witchcraft. So that's why the European got the leeway, because now the Hamites are used to saying, you're here to have the witchcraft. Yeah. You see, in another video, I will present all that in evidence. But first, we have to cover this so that we can go deeper. So you see the Lembas, they say they came from Sanaa. Yeah. So most, that guy, I can't remember the name. He says he thinks Sanaa was just in Tanzania, but he doesn't know where specifically the Sanaa was. But today I want to present where the Sanaa was, because you see, the Lemba say they came from Sanaa, passed through Beira, then Sofala, whatever, Zimbabwe, then entered Zimbabwe. Then another group as Venda entered all this area, South Africa. So they just quote Sanaa, another Sanaa, but they don't know where that Sanaa is. But Mzungu know where the Sanaa is. They know very well. They know, but they don't want to disclose this kind of information for their own advantage. Because if they tell you, we know where the first, the second, the third Sanaa is, you will now begin to connect the dots. So I just want you to remain there guessing what do they mean by Sanaa. Yeah, is it just a place? Is it an animal name? They don't want to tell you. Yeah. So Sanaa is not just any name. So you see, Sanaa, when you go to Mfungamano Island, or where they call Rusinga Island, you'll find another Sanaa right there. And today it's called Subaland, or where the Suba people are found in Kenya. The Suba are like a sub-branch of the Maragoli people, and the Nyore and the Tiriki. Yeah, these are the Suba people, but they were kicked and pushed. They were killed in millions by the Luo. So when they were being scattered by the Luo, majority of them pushed northward and joined their Luya brothers in where they are today. But you see, originally they were in Shirazi. All this area were covered by the Bantus, who all came from either Yemen or wherever, Sanaa. We don't know what Sanaa was, but they came from Sanaa. And this was known throughout. They knew they came from a place called Sanaa, and they used to call themselves Sanaa. Sanaa is not just a name for the Lemba or only the Lemba alone. It was a name that was scattered throughout Uganda, Eastern Kivu, or Tanzania, especially Shirazi, Tanganyika. All these people that came from there, the Shirazi people, they knew Sanaa. But you know, the Europeans, they play around with us. They play around with our mind and our brain. Okay. So while I was doing my DNA, I discovered this map on my DNA, and the same area, the Rusinga Island, Mufangamano. You see, all these is where Luo people today occupy, like where they've settled. You see, all the names, these are Bantu names. And you see Sanaa, yeah, which is here in Mufungano Island. And the Maragoli people tell you we came from the Mufungano Island. We built a Sanaa there. Then Luo came, killed our people in the 1,000. Then we fled by boats, not boat, by boats, many boats. Then our brothers were pushed southward by one of the boats. They were pushed southward. Then we escaped and moved northward. There were big currents and tides on the Lake Victoria. So the boat was pushed to the first island. From there, they went, I don't know, and then they migrated to Vihiga or Kisumu, and they settled there. Then again, they were attacked by another branch. So the branches, the Luo branches that told you, oh, Jokajok, Jokomolo, these were military groups. These were military branches from Funj. Yeah. So they rounded up the Hima people in Uganda. The Hima, they will tell you this very well. They know the Luo were military. Yeah. These were military combats. Yeah. And they were sent by people to come and cause havoc, kill, destroy all these people. Yeah. They were very specific. Very big massacre going on by the time Europeans arrived in 1890, especially when Charles Hobley arrived and made himself administrator. The Maragoli, especially the Maragoli, they felt like the Messiah had come. Yeah, and that's why they converted to Christianity very fast. It's not because they wanted, no. It's because they had no choice. They were being killed. Yeah, and they thought that Charles Hobley is gonna save them, but that was not the case. That was the beginning of more disaster. Yeah. So you see Sanaa, it is in Western Kenya. Sanaa, Rusinga Island. Here they have found a lot of artifacts, especially pottery. And sometimes they say, oh, this thing was brought by, lost white people. We will talk about the lost white people version of this history. Because today, even they say the Lemba are lost white people. Yeah, lost European who came to South. Yeah, so even because they found a lot of artifacts, including potteries and many other things that are very old, and majority came from ancient Rome, ancient Greeks, and the blue beads. Most of them were carbon dated, they matched the beads that were found in Rome. Yeah, especially same date or same time frame that the Romans invaded Judea. So the Europeans say, oh, it came down with the traders, or it came down with the white Hamites, who eventually intermarried with the Negro, the low IQ Negro, and then they become dark skinned. Yeah, they're talking about the Hima, Tutsi, and the Luo. So these people are the ones who brought them to the and then when they ask them, they especially like the Luo, they ask, where did you get the blue beads? So it rained around the Maragoli hills, where the Maragoli people are. It used to rain there, and then when we go there for fight, after raining, we just pick them and take them back to our places. Come on. And Europeans wrote those things down, and people that kind of information down to this day. So you see Sanaa in Yemen. It's not called Sanaa. It's supposed to be called Sanaa. Yeah, because there were a lot of black people who came from this Sanaa. Majority settled around Uganda, Zimbabwe, Kenya. Others settled around Tanzania and many other places. I can't even count. I'll be lying if I tell you. I know this. A lot of people, but there were a lot of people who migrated from this area because there were a lot of black people. All the two sides of the Red Sea were covered by black people. The Negro, the Bantus, from this side to this side, all the way going down. Yeah, there were black people here, and they know it very well. They were black people and they were farmers. Yeah. On the other side, they were being kicked by the Somalis. On the other side, by the the Nilotic people and the Galas, driving them south. Yeah. Go to Somalia, you'll find a place called Kisimahio or Kisimahilo. They know the Bantu were the first people who used to occupy that place. To this day, they know. Even the Barao people, they tell you Bantus were here, but it's the Somali who kicked them, chased them away, and began to enslave and sell those who could not run away. They sell them to India or whatever. And Somali say, no, we have always been here. We have always been here. That's not true. Yeah, Somali, they're very good in lying. And like I said, they are very smart. They're very smart. They're very intellectual. They know how to construct sentences which are full of lies. So you can't even tell, you can't separate lies from truth, because they put it like they're very smart. They construct sentences and they make sure you will never even counter check their word. Say, we are Somali. Tell us, where is your language there? Yeah? Well, ask them, ask Somalia. How comes you guys stayed with the Arabs and their language never mixed with the Arabs? I say, the Bantu. Why is the Bantu mixed with a lot of Semitic words? Why is the Bantu has a lot of the Arabic words? Yeah, because the Arabs came at the shores of Mombasa. Now ask them, why is it the Bantu, these Bantu words are as far as Congo, deep in Congo? You find Swahili, you find those so-called Arabic Semitic words deep in Congo. How did they reach there? Silent. They can't say anything. How did they miss Ethiopia? Because Ethiopia is very close to Saudi Arabia. Why is it that Ethiopia don't have in the Ethiopic language or whatever, don't have the Arabic? They didn't adapt or mix those Arabic words. Yeah. How could they be like, assuming they say the Bantu arrived in the Indian Ocean in say maybe 1800, according to Somalis and these so-called Hamaks, they say the Bantus were never been to East Africa. They arrived here around 1800 or maybe 1700 or maybe whatever they say. But how is it that so fast these two people, the Arabs and the Bantu, exchange word within very short time? But the Somalis and the Arabs never exchanged even a single word. Yeah. So, like I've said, these are very intelligent people, and they know how to lie. So when you're trying to counter whatever they're saying, you should know, what kind of people, the caliber of people you're engaging. So be prepared. So like I said, there's a site, very big site called Sanaa in Western Kenya. It is the same architecture that was used in Zimbabwe. It is the same architecture. This Sanaa in Western Kenya was used. It's called Thimli Chwenga today. That's a Luo name. But the Luo themselves, the good thing about the Luo, sometimes they will admit whenever if you push them, they will tell you the truth. Ask them about the Thimli Chwenga. They will tell you, our forefathers came here. They found Maragoli here and many other Bantus. Then we killed them. Those who survived fled with the boats, followed them, killed those who could find along the way, and then we took over their land and everything that we found there. Yeah. So you see this shield, the Luo shield, this is for the ancient Egyptians. Yeah. And the Egyptologists, whatever, they know this very well. This shield, this is just not any kind of shield. This is a very unique shield. There's no way you can attack this guy. Yeah? He can hide. He can hide himself behind this shield and do whatever he wants. He can do a very big damage on you. So Luos are very tough when it comes to war. Most people talk about the Maasai or the Samburu. They don't tell you about the Luo. The Luo are very bad. They're very lethal when it comes to war. Yeah. They used to have some kind of medicine. When you kill them, you die. You'll just also die. So this is part of the history they don't want you to know. Yeah, they used to have this medicine. They like pierce themselves or like puncture their body, insert that stuff on their body, or they has to like markings on their faces, whatever. So and put some kind of medicine. I don't know if it's called omolo or what. I can't remember the name. Once they do that, if you try to kill one of them, automatically you'll also die. So killing a Luo was not easy. Yeah, it was never easy. So they took over Thimli Chwenga and took over history, took over land, took over. Even in fact, when you read like the Masada report, when you the first land commission report by the British, when you read it, it talks about exclusively about the Maragoli. And one of the minutes, or one of the sitting, or one of the people, they said, this land was this land, where the Luos are today, is full of graves of the Maragoli people. The Maragoli were crying. They didn't want the land. They were crying. They say, just give us chance to go and get the bodies back, especially the graves and our forefathers. We have buried them there, and now you have taken over the whole entire place. The Luo was like, no, we won. We grabbed the land, so there's nothing you're gonna do. So most of this place that the Luo settled today is full of Maragoli's graves, full of it, and they know it very well, but they don't care. Yeah. Sometimes when it comes to politics, and I just listen to when they're saying they want to be president and how things always play them. I say maybe it could be the curse. You don't know what they did to the Maragoli was. It was all, yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, it was so bad. Yeah. So in Yemen, to this day, especially if you go to Hadramaut, you ask those people, the Yemenis, they will tell you there are people there. Let me just quote this book. He say the Jarhum tribe, which control part of northwestern Arabia in Sil. Okay, let me start from up. Say the 8th century Arab historian Hab ibn Muhabib and others claim that the hidden ark was discovered by the Jurhum tribe, which control part of northwestern Arabia in the Seal cave where Jeremiah had hidden it, and that they took the ark to Mecca. This guy I was looking for his name, Parfit, the guy who is calling Lemba white European, who became black after intermarrying with Bantu. So he said, according to Parfit, 2008, whatever, Arabic sources indicate that those Jews in Yemen had the Ark of the Covenant and they used it against the enemies on the peninsula. So you see, this is well collaborated history. For history to be true or factual, you need collaboration. So when you go to Yemen, those Arabs, as much as sometimes they just look like they don't know what is going on, they know the truth. They know. That's why you don't see them engaging the African American are saying, they're Hebrews. You will never see Arabs engaging them. It's only Americans who say, I know you're not Arab, you're Bantu you're Nigerians. Because they know, deep down they know. There is truth in what those African Americans are saying about those people. They know it very well. So you'll never ever see Arab going against or trying to engage those African Americans. It's only Americans. Yeah, only America. They don't know what they have. They don't know who these African American people are. They don't know. So they will spend the time arguing with them. Yeah, you're not Bantu. You're just from West Africa. Yeah, you people, you don't have history. Yeah. So this is now continuation. You see, however, another tradition in Yemen support that they believe that centuries ago a group of Jews left Yemen for Africa but did not return. The Lemba have indeed a tradition that puts them in Africa, more specifically in a city called Sanaa. The tradition has it that they built the city Sanaa, specifically city Sanaa. The tradition is that they built the city Sanaa and Sayun, which means Zion, Africa on the Zambezi, which has also been located by many scholars, Al-Daris. So you see, Al-Daris was a Moorish era historian, like the Turkic Arabs. He's written a lot of stuff about East Africa. He called Baralahindi. Remember I was talking about Baralahindi. In another video, we'll go deeper into that. So Al-Daris, he said in his book, there are people deep in Africa. They kept a big drum and they worship it like as the idol. So they knew there were people like whatever I'm trying to say is that these people we knew each other. There was a deep meeting, and these people are always meeting. They always met each other. It's not like we don't know each other. These people have always met. They knew each other very well. But it's until the British Victorian history came and enforced their own history. Like they separated people. They say, oh, you people never met this. Like today, we go to India. The ancient India, they tell you they know so much about Africa. The Somali people, they will tell you they know so much about India. which is true. They used to go there, they used to sell, because Somalis were traders. So they used to go around the world selling stuff. Yeah. So when they tell you they know about ancient India, it's something they know. But Ethiopian is like they want to say before them nobody walked, like nobody traveled, nobody did anything. It was the world was standstill until Ethiopian came, discovered everything. Nobody saw anything. Nobody did anything. Nobody walked around the world. Nobody did anything. Just Ethiopian. Then yeah, everybody else came later on. So today, like I've said, the Sanaa is found in Kenya, and the Luya, the people who are called Luya today, you'll find some of them they still call or they used to call themselves Masana, Maseno. This name existed. The Luya, the name Luya came later on. It was only specifically, I know most Luya won't even believe me or accept this version of the story. It didn't come from with European or it came later on, and it symbolized not clans that they're trying to say. It was like an insult also for the god of the Luya. So the foreigners were insulting the spiritual, the name of the god of the Luya, because Luya is like the god Luya, the fire god of the Luya. The Luya used to go around the fire, and so they call the Luya the heat. So what are you doing? We are at the Luya. We are the fire, offering sacrifice at the Luya to get the heat. So, like I said, the enemies, like an insult, they say those are the Luya, those are the people of the fire. So you go to Lemba, they also know about this. They also have. We will see. We will collaborate this story. It needs collaboration. Let's put a lot of words where they are not. So you see, this is the book by Al Idris and Muhammad ibn scholar Muhammad ibn Abd Al-Munim Hamahir or whatever. Yeah. So because it says something, he mentions something about the Zanj. Like I say, Zanj is same as the Shenzi people, and Shenzi people was the name used for the people of Baganda, Luya, but was Shenzi, the people of Shenzi kingdom. Bashenzi, somebody call it Bashenzi, Bachwezi, same people. Yeah, people who speak Swahili will laugh at that because it's like an insult. So Washenzi, the people of Bashenzi, Bachwezi. So this village in the last place of the Zenj, a place full of people, and they worship the idol, a drum, gilded, folded from one side and tied with a skin strip. It has a tremendous sound to be heard 3 miles away and so on. So you see, even the Moorish era historian, they knew about the story of the drum. So the story of the drum will go, it's deeper. It's not just a drum. There were 3 pieces of drums, and we'll talk about them. If you read the Bible, you'll discover there were 3 arks. It's called Ark of the Covenant, but these were just drums. There were 3 of them. One was Moses, then the other one was with I think Noah, and then there was another one. There were 3 of them. These drums, there were 3 of them, and so now I've been doing my own research, and I discovered the Lemba had one, and looks like the Luya had one, and it was stolen because this Sena, the thing they call Sena, it was only good for to hide these drums. That's the own purpose of these the enclosures. You see the enclosures, the one the Luo used to come and attack. These were they used to keep and hide the drum. You'll find the Sena. It is also in Sudan. There's another Sena. There are so many Senas. There's another enclosure around Turkana. They were hiding the drum there, and then another attack happened there. Then they came to Uganda, hid it somewhere. Another attack came to Kenya, Rusing Island. Another attack. So another group going south. Another group coming to become what today known as the Luya people. So they were the drum keepers. So this is now we're talking about. You see, in Yemen they know Prophet Jeremiah. By the Jeremiah was a Levite, and he said he kept the drum, and he hid the drum, and then after some time he disappeared. The drum disappeared, and Jeremiah also disappeared from Yemen. And after that, the next time you hear about the story of Jeremiah, it is in Sudan, where he's stoned to death. And then you don't know what happened to the drum. It just disappeared. Then, if you follow this story, you hear the next time Nubia is attacked. By who? The Abyssinians. They steal a lot of artifacts from Nubia, And when you you can go to UNESCO because they have all the history. When the European came, they interviewed, especially Maragoli. We were interviewed for 40 years. They came back and back to make sure, like, they were not so sure because the Maragoli had a very good oral history. They used to tell them we came from a place called Arwa, Saudi Arabia. We migrated the Sanaa. We came down, came here, passed through the place we named it locally, and then we came Katanga, then we came Uganda, Bunyoro, then we came to Shirazi, then here. So the Europeans, they didn't like that part of history. They didn't want people who, you remember your whole history. They tried to delete it. But to this day, we still have, we kept this oral history to this day. So anyway, so like I've said, Jeremiah was the last person on, and according to Yemen, they say he kept the drum with a snake. Yeah, so that's a very deep topic. It needs a lot of time to go into that, to explain the totem part. Yeah, because most people don't understand. It's a very deep topic, very deep topic. It needs a lot of time, and especially telling this or explaining this to people who don't understand, it will be like talking to stones. So this is a very deep topic, explaining. Yeah, so the same thing was happening in Uganda, the Chwezi. They used to keep the drum, and the people who knew about them say, hey, they keep drum and snake. Yeah, the same story existed in Uganda. It went to Shirazi, Tanzania. Drum, snake. Yeah, so same thing. It was a totem. So anyway, let me just, okay. So here he says, so he's talking about the Chwezi. Wells were also considered to have their special water spirit, and when a path to a well was cleared annually, the owner made a feast with his worker. They killed a goat, allowing the blood to run down the water, and then cooked and ate the animal on the spot as offering to the spirits. Python were held to be sacred, and in some places offerings were made regularly to them to preserve the people. A few men kept python in their houses, taming them and feeding them on milk with the occasional fall or gold. It was said that these python did not kill children or animals in their own village, but went further afield for their prey. So you see, this is a very deep topic and needs a lot of time to explain this, but this is very true. It's documented that Jeremiah kept a snake. They used to have a snake in the drum. Even Moses used to, it started when they were in Egypt. When they threw the whatever down, it became a snake. So for that reason, they believe snakes were their totem. So wherever the Levites lived, they used to, even whenever they make the stick, the walking stick, they will make it appear like a snake. So everybody that knew about the Levites, they knew these were the snake people. Sometimes they call them the Python or the Pafada people. So it's a very deep topic, and it takes a lot of time to explain this because for those who didn't know, they call it witchcraft. But these were the Levites. It is true. You can do your own research about it. You'll see it is very factual and it is very true. So the Bachwezi, how did the Bachwezi collapse? Today, when you go to UNESCO, this is where the attack begins and ends, the UNESCO. So they say the Bachwezi, just collapsed, yeah. But the truth of the matter is that it was attacked by the Funj, which with the modern Luo people. They came and attacked the Bachwezi, yeah, invaded them, conquered them, killed them in their thousands, and the only few that survived, yeah, we don't know what happened to them, evolved and became the modern Luya, and the people that are scattered throughout the Great Lakes today. You don't know which specific people are what, but we know for sure the Bachwezi are the people that you see today in Western Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, and maybe Zambia, all the way down. We don't know how far they went, but this was the Bachwezi. They came from Yemen, scattered throughout. They are the Bantus. This is now our oral history, as kept maintained for hundreds of years. We don't have any other history. Like we can't just say we know any other history other than this. This is what we know. It has been there for hundreds of years. So we can't just come up and say, okay, we have another version. This is what we know. We know there are black people who lived in Axum. They are called the pre-Axumites. Yeah, that's why when you go to Rwanda, Burundi, and Kenya, and Western Kenya, especially the Maragoli, you will find a place called like in Rwanda, Gusumo. You'll find in Western Kenya place Kisumu. So these are, they knew once they migrated from the other Aksum, they came and renamed the place, the later place Gusuma, the same name. Maragoli renamed themselves Avagonda. Gonda, Gonda is a place in modern Ethiopia. They call themselves Masana. Yeah. So, like for instance, here you see, this was like the commission, the first land commission. It was around 1920s or whatever. So they say now this is from the report of the land commission. Say this is a purely political matter, but it has been referred to the commission. The following facts can be of interest. No land has been taken from the Masana. Now listen, that's very careful. Who are the Masana? 3. These people are Bantu origin, akin to the Maragoli, and the area they occupy is the northern part of Kisumu, located at the foot of the Maragoli escarpment. For as long as information is available, that is, when Central Kavirondo, then called Kisumu district, was formed by Mr. Hobley. You see, this guy, he's the one who gave Luo everything that they have today. He gave them all the advantage they have over there, the Maragoli or the Luya people. Everything. It created a boundary, stored the land, including where it's called the Kisumu Airport, the CC, the research. All those areas belong to Maragoli. They know it very well, including Bondo, Seme. In fact, Maragoli was born in Seme. So they know, Kano. All this belong to the Kisis and whatever. But even the Kuria people, if you do a more thorough research, you'll discover these people are born in places like Bondo, Usenge. These were the Kuria, many of these Luya clans that you see today in Western Kenya were born. Not the current place they are. This belongs to the Nandis. Okay. Let's go on. So in 1921, a boundary was made which attempted to divide the Luo and the Bantu into 2 districts, Central and North Kavirondo. This boundary was confirmed by 1926 proclamation, which declared the boundary of Central and North Kavirondo Native Reserve. The boundary between Kisumu and Maragoli location, which left the Masana Valley in Kisumu. You see, now the Masana, like the Maragoli side, was left in Kisumu. Anyway, this is not what I wanted to talk to address here. The name Masana. You see, before Maragoli became Maragoli, which was after Wagner Gunther arrived, because they didn't call themselves Maragoli. It's like you don't call yourself a name. It's other people who call. The people used to call them Masana, besides Lakoli. And we will explain the meaning of those names and where they came from and why and the reasons behind those names. So, but they themselves, they used to call themselves Masana because they knew where they came from. And the Masana comes from the herb. Masana herbs. So the Masana herbs, it was a name used throughout the Great Lakes for a very long time. So you see, this is the name that came from Yemen. So now, most of the time they like to say, oh, Kavirondo, the Luo Kavirondo, the Bantu Kavirondo. But if you do a deep research, you discover Kavirondo is just the Bantu, the Luya people. So here you say the Kavirondo proper. This is Wagner Gunther. You say the Kavirondo proper, meaning the Bantu Kavirondo. So most of the time they try to lump together so that you don't understand or you get confused. Oh, the Kavirondo. So even today when you read about Kavirondo, you think about they're talking about the Luo. But the Kavirondo people, these are the Bantu people. The Luya, specifically the Luya. So once again, why would the Tutsi, the Hima, the Oromo, the Somali enslave the Sudanese? And think about it. Do you think that those tall Sudanese can squat like that with their long, what do you call it? The long foots. And do you think they can squat like that? That's a lie. And look at the thick lips, and look at the faces. These are not the Nilotic. Nilotic are very handsome. Yeah. The darly looking people are the Bantus. Yeah. I'm not insulting anyone or, trying to, like, kujitusi ama nini, but these are facts. Yeah. So they're trying to, say, oh, the Nubians being enslaved by the Egyptian. We would like to see if today the modern Egyptians can enslave the Nilotic people. Let them try. Let them do it. Like even today, like these days that we're speaking, it's only the Nilotic people still fighting the Turkic people in Sudan. It's until America gave them big weapons and that the Turks or those people that you see in Sudan defeated the Nilotic people, pushing them to Kenya and Uganda. But before that, they used to fight them. They still fight them to this day. So how could they be enslaving the Nilot when the Nilots were the military in Egypt? How? Just look at their tummies and look at their foot. Yeah, look at their head. Therefore, do you see protruding forehead like the one you see the Nilot and the people from East Africa, the protruding the big forehead? Do you see that? These are flat forehead. These are Bantus. Yeah. It's called Dali looking. Look at their cheeks. Yeah, these are not Nilotic. We look like Nilotic, but we are not Nilotic. You can confuse us for the Nilotic and confuse us for the Sudanese, but we are not the same people. Yeah, that's why you see the modern DNA companies, they are playing with us. Yeah, they try to lump everybody together and say, oh, sub-Saharan Africa, sub-Saharan. And when the Chinese come to Africa, they were trying to play games with the Nandis and Kalenjin, and they saw fire. Yeah. Came to Kenya, they assume everybody's a Bantu. They can play around. They saw. You don't play around with these people. They're the ancient Tamils. Yeah, they will beat the hell out of you. They're not Bantu. Americans like to lie to you. They tell you, oh, they are sub-Saharan Africa. You can go and do whatever you want to do with it. Yeah, try it. Go to Somalis and try to enslave them. You will see fire. Yeah. Try it on Maasais. You will see. Go and try to enslave the Sudanese. You will see fire. Try Luos. They will enslave you. I'm telling you, they will enslave you. Even American today, if they play with Luo, then Luo can go to America and enslave them. These are ancient people. They're very smart, very intelligent. Yeah, they produce Obama. Obama already ruled America before America could rule the Luos, could rule the Sudanese. So how do you say they were enslaved by Egyptians? Yeah, something don't even make sense. Yeah. These are very strong people, very intelligent. They're very smart. When you're thinking about ABCD, they're already thinking about other things. You can't even match their brain. When the people say Hamas were cast, you don't know what you're talking about. These are the engineers. These are the most intelligent people I've ever seen in my life. So when people tell you, oh, the Ham, cast of Ham, and then they point out the Bantu, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. Yeah, because Bantus and all these people, we are not the same, and they know it very well. We're not the same people. Yeah, that's why when they get hungry, they tell you, hey, we're gonna kick you out from this. They know you are not the same people. They don't want you to rule in Kenya, because they know that you're not the same. But from an outsider, from a Mzungu, who does he think we're just a mix of colors of dark-skinned people? You think we're all the same? When Africa is so diverse than Europe and Asia combined. So there's no way ancient Egyptians could enslave Sudanese. Not today, not ile miaka ya nyuma, and it will never happen. They cannot do it. Yeah. If today the Nilotic people decide to unite and go back and kick out all the Ottoman from them, they will do it. It will take them like 5 days, and itakuwa imefagiliwa yote. They can do it. These are very strong and very intelligent people. They have all they know what they can do. They're not like the Bantus. I'm not attacking the Bantu, but I'm telling the truth. That's how strong they are. Or they just hide. They don't want to talk too much, or yeah. And another thing, how do Mzungu explain the fact that most East African can do long distance running, while the Bantus can only do the short distance, so quick? We call the relay. How do they explain that part? Yeah. When was the last time you saw like a Congolese or a Nigerian or a person from Angola doing 10,000 marathon? When was the last time? Or when was the first time? How do they explain that part? It's only people from East Africa who can do long distance. What about the flat foot and the flat foot and the other foot for pastors to walk kilometers? How do they explain that? Yeah. Say, oh, you're same people. You're all the same. Yeah. Playing around with your brain. So you see, these two guys, these two legendaries, they're the one who changed the history of the Luya people. Yeah. We will talk about them deeper, deeper, deeper. We go deeper into, yeah, because today, if you talk about them, they'll feel offended. Oh, you're attacking our history. You're attacking. This is where our history starts. Yeah. Why are you attacking our history? Yeah. They don't know why these people came. They don't know who sent them. And most Luya today, their history start with religion, the Christianity that they know today. Yeah, they came, evangelized, made us Christian, and then we are born again, so we're waiting to die and go to heaven. That's what they know. They don't know the history of religion. They don't know how it started. They don't know anything. They don't know anything. Yeah, and yeah, even some lawyers blame others. Say, if you guys could have converted to their whatever, yeah, Luya will be like will be better people. Like yeah. So I don't blame any side because I know what happened. I know I've been doing research for a while and I know why all these things happen. Yeah. And we are all victims. All of us were victims. Either Bukusu, whether Maragoli, we're all victims. Yeah. And we need to unite and work our way like save each other because like tunaendelea like this is hii ni kama vita tu. Yeah. If we don't unite or boat itasink na sisi wote. Yeah, so it's either we unite, work our way together, or we will sing together. There's no two ways about it. So these two, although we have been told they were, evangelists or whatever, they were sent for a very specific reason. Yeah. So according to do your own research, these two, I mean, they call it the Quakers or whatever they call them, the Friends. Yeah, came to Luyaland in 1902 and left in 1965. I just have a question, a very simple question. In Kenya, we have like 42 communities. Majority of them are those who drank blood. And if you read the Bible, drinking blood is one of the abomination. Yeah, it was. I don't want to go into details, but it's one of the thing. Anyway, I don't want to go into that details for now. But what would this keep those who are doing FGM, like female genital mutilation? What would this keep the people who are like doing drinking the blood? Why would they miss all those people at the coast and just come to Vihiga and Kaimosi? What was so unique about that place? Who sent them? Why 1902 when British were sitting somewhere discussing how Luyaland could be Zion or Israel? What was so unique about that land? Why that land? Why settle among these people? And why or who stole the Maragoli's drum? Why did they steal it? If it's just a useless thing, why did they steal it? This drum was there for a very long time. Very long time. It was there. Many generations. But why did they steal it? Imagine a whole Christian fraternity, very respectable Christianity fraternity, steal a very useless, or let's call it a witchcraft, a thing. Why did they steal it? Take it to Philadelphia. And they don't even want to mention about it anywhere. If it was just a useless thing, why did they steal it? Yeah. Imagine if you go to America today, go to one of the museum and still say one of their guns that they used for slavery, or maybe still one of the whatever, something that is not even important to them. Take it to Kenya. Do you think they will just sit by and be like, watch? Or is it that nobody's speaking about the drum that was stolen from the Maragoli? If that thing was not even important, how did it just disappear after this guy left? And why did they take that long? From 1902 to 1965, people were just preaching Maragoli. Why? You have to do your research, and it is deep. You'll discover there's a lot of things these people are doing. They were hiding stuff. It was a huge cover-up mission, deleting history, deleting names, deleting everything possible. They built what is called the landlines, or the village landlines, like the one that were built in Muranga. And those who did not agree or conform to Christianity, those who did not do the marriage, the wife inheritance, those who are still doing those things, they were kicked out from Vihiga. Some were beaten, some were arrested, until Maragoli became fully Christian society. So why did they skip Nandis? Why did they skip Masai? Why did they skip all those communities? Turkana up there, why did they skip them? Why Maragoli? Why build a railway line from Mombasa to just bring missionary to Maragoli? Why? Why did they do that? And they call it Uganda railway line, just to bring missionaries to Maragoli, and then decide Jerusalem will be at Maragoli Hills. What were they covering up? Yeah. Some people say, it was in Angola. They wanted Angola. Oh, yeah. No. It was Mozambique with no facts. No fact, just baseless stories. They don't know the story behind it. Yeah. There's a very specific reason why they wanted these places. And they know it to this day why they want. They still, if you go to Israel, they still have a place that once the Messiah comes, their Messiah, they're expecting maybe a Khazarian or Ukrainian or a Polish Messiah comes back. They will come and he will help them to recover from where Niles begin all the way to where they are today. And somebody from Angola and Mozambique tell you, oh, they wanted Angola. Hey, they wanted Mozambique. Based on hearsay, they don't even understand what they're saying. So this is part of the issue they don't want you to know. So for that, be blessed. Mungu abariki. My story tutaendelea. Watch out for the next part. This is just the beginning. So be blessed, everybody.